Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we come out of executive session.
I'll second. And now we would also entertain a motion that no action was taken.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that no action was taken in executive session.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Have a motion. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Have a motion and a second that no action was taken. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed? Thank you, it's unanimous. And with that, I will adjourn the special call meeting. Now, if I may have your attention, I'd like to call on Ms. McDowell, please. Now, if you would all stand and join us in Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we want to thank each of you for being with us this evening. Our first item is the chairman's report. Includes the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the agenda, approval of the board meeting minutes for November 11th, 2024, approval of overnight field trips, and approval of the check registry. So do I have a motion to approve the chairman's report or the consent agenda? Apologize.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. We have the motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. And now that brings us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bob Walker was supposed to be here tonight to represent our local Landrum's Lions Club, and they had a called meeting, a previously unscheduled called meeting. It was a rescheduled meeting with the Spartanburg County Council, so he called me today and he's unable to attend. I think he's going to try to make it towards the end of our meeting, but I'm going to go ahead and highlight what he wanted to help celebrate. It is a major service to our school district. The Lions Club for years has helped screen our children's eyes in all our elementary schools, and I'm so happy to report that this year the Lions Club has screened 1,535 of our elementary students. It's a major help, and I've been a small part of that. Jason McCraw, I would like to give a major shout out to. Jason conducts most of these eye screening exams along with some help with Bob and his wife Martha and some other Lions Club members. But what they do is they screen the eyes and then they make referrals based off the Lions Club buys this high-tech equipment, and it screens the eyes of the child, tell her where they have issues, and then they make the referrals to eye doctors. So very thankful to our Lions Club and our community, and they have been a major help to us, and I would like to thank them and Mr. Bob Walker and all his leadership in that area. Next, I would like to highlight an instructional report that I would like the board to be aware of. This year, 2025, or actually next year, 2025 South Carolina College and Career mathematics standards were officially approved last December in 2023 by the South Carolina Board of Education. This year has been a time for us to look at our 2025 South Carolina College and Career Ready Mathematics Standards and develop our own implementation plan, which Ms. Wright and her team have been so faithfully preparing for next year. Next year, the standards will be fully operational and will be assessed in our SE Ready test in 25-26. And this February, as you saw in your board packet, the state will be adopting new math textbooks. And it's been a while, Jody, like the English books. How long has it been? It's been 6 years. So we're looking forward to that, and I wanted the board to be aware of that. They've changed some sequence of some things, but we actually dove all in last year because we knew the change was coming. So we're kind of ahead the curve with our teachers in implementing these new standards, thanks to Ms. Wright and her leadership. Next thing I want to highlight instructionally is we are in the middle of iReady testing. That is our diagnostic exam where we give our children 3 times a year, fall and winter and spring. And it's a state mandated that we give a form of assessment. We've chosen iReady. We've used iReady for how many years, Jody? Since 2019. And what it does, it just gives our teachers and our administration a feel of how the children are performing. It's a diagnostic test. It tells you exactly where they are with their reading and their mathematics. And our staff uses that data to make changes to the curriculum, and particularly to individualize instruction for those students. As we move into the spring, we'll have one more round before they'll take the SE Ready test. And this, of course, is we use it K through 8, but for the SE Ready, it would be grades 3 through 8 with that. So I wanted to update the board on that. That's going very well. I've done my school visits over the last 2 weeks. I've been to 9 out of our 11 schools. I've got 2 more to go to next week. And you walk in the little English classes, and those little rascals are battling away on their laptop, getting their assessment. But it's neat to see how the teachers take that data, because that data matters a lot. It tells you where that child is struggling and where they're being successful. So just wanted to point that out. And then finally, I wanted to update the board on the letters training. The South Carolina Department of Education partnered with Lexia to offer professional development. And this year we've gone through that. It's a 2-year program, and LETTERS, just for your information, stands for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. Y'all like this. It teaches the skill, because it kind of go old school a little bit. It teaches the skills needed to master the foundational and fundamentals of reading and writing that include phonological awareness, phonics. I see some people shaking their head. Phonics, it works. Fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, and written language. Our K-5 through 3rd grade teachers are going through this training, along with our special ed teachers and our administrators, along with our reading coaches and interventionists. So it's a 2-year. We're about halfway through this year, and then we'll have a second round next year. But our teachers are looking forward to implementing that. And Jody, again, and her team have worked hard, because it's hard to train teachers and not be a burden. So we've worked really hard on our staff development days to have that training, and we've had a couple of after-hours training that we didn't require the teachers to stay at school because they got to go home and be moms and dads, but we had a virtual training in the first semester. So I just wanted to give the board an update on where we are right now instructionally. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Our next item would be the personnel report. Dr. Beeson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board members, you have in your packet the personnel report. I would ask that you approve the resignations as listed on your board report.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that we approve the resignations on the board report.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. We have a motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderford. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
We had, am I correct that we had 3 of these names on our November meeting report?
I do not, I think so because of the date. She put the effective date of October.
Okay,
There's one that has an effective date of October the 22nd,
Right.
one with the effective date of October the 25th. So are those the ones that you're referring
right.
to?
I was just wondering if I missed couldn't find the right report, but.
Right,
Okay,
right.
sure,
Yes.
thanks.
Mhm.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor of approving the resignation recommended in your packet, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that the board approve the employment for the 24-25 school year that was listed in your board packet.
We have a recommendation to approve the new hire listed in our packet. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve those new hires as stated by Dr. Beeson, listed in our packet.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderford. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Thank you, Mr. Holder. A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, please signify your approval of the motion by raising your right hand. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beeson. Our next item is finance, and Ms. Brady. I'll turn it over to Ms. Brady and go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow board members. This evening, to start, just so you all know, on your desk, you should have received a hard copy of our 23-24 audit. And then you also have a printed copy of the presentation that we will have on the screen here just in a few minutes, but I wanted you to have a copy so that you could see it better in front of you. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Brian Nicholson from Malden and Jenkins.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good evening, board. Mr. Rollins, Dr. Smith. So you have two copies in front of you. I'm just going to focus on the PowerPoint presentation that is up. So on the next slide, there is a brief agenda, and we're going to go over the engagement team, the results of the 2024 audit, some financial trends, and then at the end, if there's any comments or any questions, we can go over those as well. So just to reintroduce myself, my name is Brian Nicholson with Malden Jenkins. We were the district's independent CPA firm. Mr. Tim Lyons was the quality control reviewer. And then on this next slide, so these next two slides are the results of the June 30, 2024 audit. Our audit was conducted in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. Our objective was to provide reasonable but not absolute assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. We did issue an unmodified opinion, or a fancy accounting word for clean opinion. And what that means is that the district's financial statements do present fairly in accordance with GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles. There were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, and there were no instances of non-compliance reported as well. This next slide goes over the single audits that we performed. Every year when the district expends over $750,000 in federal funds, a single audit is triggered. This year, since the district did not qualify as a low-risk auditee, we had to obtain at least 40% coverage. We tested the Title I program of $1.4 million, the Special Education Cluster $1.5 million, and then the Education Stabilization Fund, or ESSER, of approximately $800,000. Similar to our independent audit report, we issued an unmodified or clean opinion. There was also no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. These next few slides are our required communications. We're required to provide these either orally or in writing, and so tonight we're kind of doing both, so I'm going to hit a few of these. The significant accounting policies used by the district are disclosed in footnote 1. There were no disagreements with management. Go to the next slide. There are no disagreements with management or our team. We received full cooperation from Lacey and her staff. This was a new audit for Malden Jenkins, and we were also new to the district. And I thought the audit went extremely well for a first year audit engagement. We issued the audit. I believe the report is dated. Let me make sure I'm not wrong here. But I believe we dated it November 18th. And we're able to issue it well before the December 1st state required deadline. That's correct, November 18th. There were no past adjustments made during the audit. And then at the end of our audit, we required certain representations from district management, and we did receive those representations. The main thing I want to hit on this slide is the ASCPA professional standards require us to be independent of the district, and we did maintain that level of independence through our audit. These next three slides, I'm really going to focus on the general fund, which is the main operating fund of the district. This is kind of a 5-year look back, and it shows total fund balance as of June 30, 2024. And you can see total fund balance for fiscal year 2024 is about 20 million compared to 18.5 in the prior year, all the way back to 7.1 million in 2020. And then on the next slide, I do know this is kind of blurry, so I do apologize. But I do want to point out, of that 22 million in total fund balance, approximately 21.7 of that is unassigned fund balance. And the state requires at least 8.3% of unassigned or total expenditures and transfers to be in unassigned fund balance at year end. And the district currently has around 37%. And then you'll see on this next slide that total net change in fund balance or increase in fund balance was around 3.4 million. These last few slides, I do want to mention that the district was required to implement GASB 100 for accounting changes and error corrections. Although the district was required to implement this new standard, it did not have a material effect. And then next year, GASB 101 for compensated absences will be in effect as well. These last few slides are more just informational. So GASB 100 is for accounting changes and error corrections. Previously, before this GASB, if there was like a restatement where you had to go back and restate prior year numbers, you would only have to disclose the total amount of the restatement. You would not have to outline it in the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance and in the footnotes. And this GASB makes it more clear to the readers. So since the district did not have a restatement, you won't see this having a material effect in the statements. We also do provide free client CPE. Now, a majority of it is financial based, but every now and then we do have some sessions tailored more towards board members and council members as well. So if you are interested in sitting on that CPE, please let me or Lacey know. And with that, we do want to thank the district. An audit, it's an invasive process, and Lacey and her team did an excellent job this year. So we do appreciate the district putting the work in on the front end so that we can come in and do what we need to do. So, and with that, any comments, any questions? Thank you. Well, I mean, this is all the management and district staff. We're just reporting on it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add that audit committee did meet on 25th of November to review the audit results with the auditor. Of course, we were happy with the results as well, so the audit committee had no additional recommendations to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Cawthorn. And we do appreciate the audit committee members who met. And Mr. Nicholson, we do appreciate what y'all done.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Alright.
Chairman, I'd also like to give a hats off to Lacey and her department and her coworkers for the outstanding job they've done.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Vanderburg.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Okay, so, next, as in previous years, the Spartanburg, 1 Board of Trustees has voted to provide a $100 Christmas appreciation gift to all employees as a token of gratitude for their dedication and service. This year, the administration is recommending the continuation of this to align with similar practices in other Spartanburg districts. The proposed appreciation gift will not exceed $120,000 in total and will be funded through district reserves.
I make a motion, we approve the recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion. Thank you,
I'll
Mr. Holden.
I'll second that motion.
And we have a second. Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I think even though that's a bonus going directly to our teachers and staff, that it is a major investment in our children and our students. It's good to have teachers that feel appreciated continuously, and especially at that time of the year, and they're going to share that excitement and pleasing with their students, and the end result will be good, I think.
Vanderburg?
Lacey, you said this would come from our reserve, but that's not, if, it may not, right?
It may not,
Depending on how we
Depending on-
year
correct.
end.
correct, it
I would
depends
like-
on the
yeah.
revenue and the, where we land with, coming in under budget in our expenditures.
And I would like to recommend when we get into the budget processes, this is something we definitely build in when we're building the personnel base, because that is so important to our employees and staff.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, questions? If not, all those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, I put on your desk a copy of a proposed budget timeline, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're thinking about this year. In February and in March, we are going to hold a budget work session. Those dates are to be determined, and this will allow us to be able to hold the first, second, and third readings of the budget on the regular scheduled board meetings in April, May, and June respectively.
And I would make sure, board, you see that Jada's given y'all some were able to complete it on Doodle online, and we just need the rest. So just everybody, she's got that in front of you. Just make sure that's filled out, and we'll take care of that, and we'll get those dates out as soon as Jada compiles that data.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Brady. We do appreciate the work that went into
Yes, sir.
this whole event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is the policy report. Ms. Tesnier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Board of Trustees. Tonight, we are recommending policy JICJ, which is possession, use of electronic communication devices in school, for the second reading. There are no changes to this policy as presented during the first reading last month, and once again, we recommend it for a second reading.
Thank you.
I make a motion, we approve policy J1CJ for a second reading.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Cawthon. We have a motion and a second to approve for second reading policy JICJ. Is there any discussion?
It's still not clear to me, the policy is how, will they have their cell phones on them? Or are they gonna be taken up?
They're- Yes, ma'am. They're,
I mean,
they're not
it's
gonna be
just not-
taken up.
It's just not clear,
Yes, ma'am. They will be allowed to have their devices on them.
but they must
They
be
are just
off,
out of sight.
out of sight. But do they have to be off also?
We're already, and like I told you, this school year, we already took them out of the classroom. In effect, they're to have them out of sight and not on. If it disrupts instruction, they get written up a referral. The only difference with this, and then keep in mind, elementary, middle school, they can't have them at all anyway. So they only impacts high school, and it'll be class change and lunchtime. And we'll be working with our administration on that change.
So they're still gonna have them
They're
during
gonna have them
class
on their
time?
person. We're not
They-
taking cell phones off their person.
It states that in the, policy implementation and enforcement, letter A, specifically the answer to your question is right there. They get to keep them, it's just they're prohibited from accessing them during the classroom time. during
Just
use.
classroom time, but between classes and lunch, they can still have them?
No, ma'am. It
It's
is all day. Right
All
now, we
day,
are
okay, that's
currently,
what I wanna- 'cause
right
it's
now,
just
we are
not-
currently prohibiting the use of the electronic device during the instructional time period.
Mhm.
And you know, there was different versions of this bill, if many of you
Right.
remember, and.
It was
and
discussed at the
it very-
conference too.
Okay, so it was very clear that they wanted it bell to bell.
Mhm.
And we will certainly follow the law in doing so.
Does this affect, and this was not actually made clear either, but at the conference, because it was discussed a lot, but, could we possibly lose funding if we do not comply with this proviso?
I'm sure we
Correct.
could.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It is proviso with,
And
with the
then
budget.
And then I
And
think.
we took this straight from the state,
Yes,
right.
sir.
and we're using it verbatim.
And Wanda, Jean, correct me if I'm wrong, they indicated that like it may be readdressed in a year. If you
Absolutely.
heard- Okay, all right. I'll make sure I
Well,
Well, that's
understood that
provisos
correctly.
by nature,
Yeah,
or year
Yeah,
to year.
yeah.
But the superintendent of education she did say that they are looking for, successes, challenges, things just before implementation into law. So I think we should be very forthright in how it's working or how it's not working or.
Yeah.
And I also want to mention that this really was a game changer for me. The focus was, or I guess I shouldn't say focus, this is what she said, was that this was all developed under the Free to Focus kind of initiative. And so Superintendent Weaver said that means learning, focus on your learning, your friends, safety, and instruction.
Yes.
So that really kind of brought it home to me when we were at the conference this weekend, but really made it clear that they're looking for districts to give feedback before it
Absolutely.
gets implemented.
And from what I understand, Ms. McDowell, is she will be, you know, this was basically a result from surveying the teachers.
Yeah.
She
Absolutely.
wanted to hear from the
Mhm.
teachers, and they provided that feedback. So she's been very clear and upfront that we will be, once again, surveying to see how it's going. You know, are you seeing the results that these other pilot school districts have been seeing the success? And really, just like you said, it's a way for the day, free to focus, conversations at the lunch tables, and you name it. So I think we will see a lot of benefits.
I will say also that I'm sure they've heard of parent concerns with everything that's going on with what if my child needs to contact me if there's some kind of incident or something like that. And just want to make clear that once that child is safe, I don't want the parents or anybody else to interfere with you getting a child safe, then that child should have an ability to use their phone and call their parents once
Should've
they're
answered
safe.
that
And that's why we've
Absolutely.
left the phone on their person.
Yeah,
Because we
once
didn't
they're
want to
safe.
remove the
Right.
safety aspect.
Right.
And Officer Harmon has even touched on that, you know, whenever we go through our safety meetings, whenever we're discussing an intruder drill or active shooter drill, and it's so important for the students to be actively listening to that teacher at that moment to get them to safety. And then at that point, absolutely, feel free to use that device, so, yeah.
I do have one other thing. I just want to make sure that our enforcement for the consequences are consistent
Yes, ma'am.
across the district for every school, because we're too small of a district for it not.
Yes,
to-
ma'am. We've had several
That's right.
conversations and meetings, and Dr. Smith, myself, Mr. Loso, and our principals are actually meeting tomorrow or Wednesday,
Wednesday.
to iron out everything, to finalize everything, and then get our communication rolling. Because all of it needs to pair up and match, and we all need to be succinct, and we can't have one end of the school district doing something and the other end. So, absolutely very important. Yes, ma'am. And the kids have already they're hearing of it, but certainly we will iron everything out and get that communication out by Thursday of this week.
Mr. Chairman, I think the matter, and Jada, that it's law, I think that's gonna be on our side. Cause we all have a little mixture, I think, of the policy.
Absolutely,
But with it being law, we have to abide
we do.
or lose our money.
Yeah, and we certainly don't want to do that. I mean, we want to certainly comply as always. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me. I just wanted to address Mr. Walker. We do appreciate you coming tonight, and Dr. Smith covered your area earlier for us, but we do appreciate not only your service to our country, our state, our communities, your family served as well. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the work you've done for our children through your club. We do appreciate it. Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Walker. And, am I correct? Mr. Stone was a former board member here. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Will that service be? Did I miss that?
When is it, Bob? Mr. Vanford asked, when's the service?
Thank, thank you very much. And that brings us to our next item is the election of officers. And so we would open up the table.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we keep the officers the same.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. We have a motion to keep the same slate and move forward a second year. Do I have a second?
I will second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Banford. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Does everybody want to do their job again? Because I've heard from some. Does everybody accept that?
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah. No, that's,
You can't
no,
say
that, no, that, no, thank you, Doug.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman, may I make a comment? I think with all that we've got before us now and all the focus on the referendum and getting everything the way that it should be and careful planning, I think we've had a good year under the current leadership, and it's not to say that we don't have others in here that could fill each of those positions, but I think maybe the less change, the better at this point, and we all stay focused and working together and to achieve these goals the way that we hope that we can achieve them, and in the favor of our district, number one, our students, and also our community.
Thank you, Mr. Banford. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you all. Congratulations, Ms. Hopper, Ms. McDowell. Thank you. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Skinner. Thank you, Ms. McDowell. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you.